No biggie. No biggie. It's no big deal. It's all right. It's all right. What is happening, everybody out there? Welcome back to another episode of Not as Debatable with myself, Sydney Smith, and my co-host there, Mr. Dion Curry. We are two dudes that love to do a podcast. We do apologize for the technical difficulties. I would try to keep the anger and rage out of my voice because I'm not happy about it. As you can see, Dion is smirking because he loves when I'm irritated, which makes this a great show. We got a fun one lined up for you guys. We're going to get into some Candace Owens on the Breakfast Club. If you are in the group, I posted that. Hope you got a chance to check out some of those snippets. And then if we have some time, we're going to get into some Godfrey on Club Shay Shay. But I think we got another topic we might jump into because we had some breaking news earlier today. And anybody who's been on Twitter or just not under a rock knows what I'm hinting to. But before we get there, let me bring my brother in, my co-host, Mr. Dion Curry. Dion, what's good, bro?
Happy Monday to you, my brother. It's always good to be with you. Congratulations to you doing numbers on your special. I'm very happy for you. Proud
Bro,
of you.
bro, 25,000. We hit it today. We're past it right now, but I am so stoked about the 25,000 views on my comedy special. If you've not seen it, it's called Misunderstood. It is on YouTube. You can jump out and check it out. But yeah, so thank you. Super hyped about it.
Yeah, I'm happy for you. It was a good weekend. I did a lot of laundry, cleaned up my room a little bit, feeling better in my space. So there's that. And then we got everything we got to talk about today. This breaking news, I was kind of reading up on it while you were doing through some technical difficulty stuff. So yeah, I'm excited for today's show.
Someone here jumped in. So, folks, just so everyone knows, if you see me squinting in a little bit, it is because I am on my MacBook and not on my desktop double screen as I normally am. So, forgive me if I miss something or if you see me leaning in trying to squint and see on this damn MacBook. It's amazing how your eyes change when you go from looking at a smaller screen, which a MacBook is not a tiny screen, but compared to what I normally look at, it's a lot harder. So, Facebook user here says, I watched it last night. Good job. I'm not sure who said
That
that,
was
but thank you.
Courtney,
Courtney,
Courtney
thank you,
Ross.
Courtney. I appreciate you for saying that, Courtney. If you have watched it and you like it, go ahead and send it out to some friends. If you like it and you hate it, send it to some enemies. Either way, it works out for everyone. Tamara S. here says, YouTube, I believe that's what she's saying, having issues all over the place today. Oh my gosh, it's driving me nuts, so nuts. I think I'm on here alone for right now, folks. I do apologize. We'll get Dion back up as soon as we can. LOL, loved it. Thank you, Tamara. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching it and for liking it. I promise you, if you are new to watching this show normally runs better than this. All right, so we are back. Dion is back. Tamara S says, LOL, loved it. So thank you very much. I appreciate you, Tamara, for checking it out. Dion, let's jump into the show before we have any more fucking issues that drives either one of us nuts. First, let's start with the breaking news in the world, in America. The federal government raided Sean Puffy, P. Diddy, whatever other nicknames he's given himself, Combs' home today. My man jumped on his private jet, took off to Antigua. I believe two of his sons were in handcuffs today. What are your thoughts? Where do you want to start on this breaking news? And I promise, folks, we'll get to the other stuff, but I want to make sure we start here.
It puts a whole new meaning to vote or die.
what? What?
Because I remember when he was out there dancing and getting people out to vote. It was very important. And then to have two of his sons arrested while he's on a private plane to Antigua just just screams to me that we're about to have one of those I think he killed himself episodes where he didn't kill himself, but he winds up dead. Now this is all just my speculation. I don't have any inside information on this, but to me it just seems like if you're gonna let your kids get arrested, you're in trouble.
I did find it odd that he left the boys behind. He's like, fuck them kids, I'm out. And he just kind of took off and left them behind, so to speak. I the rumors have been out there. They've been floating. I think we've all been wondering when it was going to come, when that other shoe may drop, and it hasn't dropped. There's been a lot of talk that other shoe that Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein shoe was going to drop, and we don't have all the facts in. But when the federal government comes a knocking, if you take off running, that doesn't look good for you.
Yeah, it's the Roman Polanski defense. I'm just going to wait it out in another country.
That dude, he's still making movies. Didn't he make a movie some years back? Still,
I, I think he made a movie in like 2019, 2020.
yeah, yeah. My man still. The fascinating is that people will still be working with him. You know what he's wanted for. You know he's on the run and he can't come back, and you still working with him.
Have you watched any of the Nickelodeon stuff where the guy from what's the name of the show? Drake and Josh has kind of started to talk about what happened to him because of Dan Schneider and all the crazy stuff that went down in Nickelodeon.
I've only seen headlines. If I'm being completely honest, I don't even know who the hell Dan Schneider is. Who is Dan Schneider?
So basically, he was the head honcho over at Nickelodeon. When it came to these kids shows, he was the guy who was finding these kids and just doing all type of weird. I seen a interview with Leonardo DiCaprio when he was a kid, like in the mid '90s, and it was creepy the way he was standing next to him, the way he was touching him, the way he was talking about him. It's like how you don't see it when you go back and look at it. It's like it's so blatantly obvious, and that's obviously because of all the work that's been done to expose these type of people and their behaviors. But you go back and watch some of that stuff, and it is just eerily creepy. Like some of the jokes they have in there, it's like this doesn't belong in a kids show. The creator of Ren and Stimpy, I think, did 12 years for child molestation. Like there's a long line of people who got in trouble over there at Nickelodeon, and they just treated them like Catholic priests. They just moved them around to different shows.
Somebody here's posted in the thread. Disney hired Brian Peck after he got out of prison for child SA.
So that was Michelle Douglas.
Okay. I'm not. Michelle, can you let me know? Because we're jumping to something I haven't done my research on. Obviously, anything that has to do with harming children, I'm against. But I have not done my research. Can you just kind of let me know who Brian Peck is? It is a fascinating thing when you look at what. Well, you know what I do. We're at a point now, Dion, where if anyone who enjoys being around kids, and let's be honest, there are some people who literally just have it in their heart. They enjoy being around kids. They enjoy helping kids. They enjoy teaching kids, help bring them up, all those different things. But we're getting to a point where you're almost going to look side eye at anyone who enjoys it and who's in that type of part in that part of the industry.
Well, I think there's a difference between enjoying working with kids and being a party to what was going on. There were a lot of adults in those situations who knew what was going on and didn't do anything. And the kid from Drake and Josh, he's telling this story about how Dan Schneider called him at his girlfriend's house because he wasn't answering his cell phone.
Okay.
So a 47-year-old man is calling a 16-year-old kid's girlfriend's house to get in touch with him because they were supposed to go to Disneyland, which so he literally calls. Drake doesn't answer. He calls back. Drake doesn't answer to the point where he calls his girlfriend's house and his mom, the girlfriend's mom answers. And then she brings him the phone and he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" He's like, "Oh, I forgot we had plans, blah, 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 blah." And then they hang up the phone. And then the girlfriend's mom pulls him into the kitchen and goes, "Hey, what's going on?" No grown man calls someone's girlfriend's, like you're a child. What's
Yep.
happening here?
Right.
So she kind of put him on the spot, and he was like, "Yeah, maybe you're right." He calls his mom and he tells his mom everything, and then that's kind of what happened. But Corey Feldman is another guy who's been saying this crap for
For
years,
years.
and he's on record. He mentioned names in the police department, and this is just how deep it goes. Is where people know who's doing what with who, and It's so much bigger than just one studio person at Nickelodeon or one P Diddy, a record company. It's so much bigger than that.
Hey guys, I want to read some of the comments. Let me know if it's because what I can see is Dion has a little bit of a delay video wise with me. I can hear him fine, but there's a bit of a delay visually. Are you guys seeing the same thing, and are you seeing anything with me? So let me know out there, guys. All right, let me go ahead and read through some of the
It's
comments because
definitely on my end.
okay, because these comments here are good ones. And I want Dion to hear them. So my cousin Mike is in here with us. What's up, cuz? Thanks for jumping in. He said he also had a weird infatuation with feet too. He implemented it into the shows. Jeez. Facebook user says Amanda Bynes made a fake Twitter account a couple of years back and mentioned she got pregnant by her boss. That's
That's
bananas.
Chelsea.
Okay, Chelsea
Yeah.
there. Facebook user also says, I'm sorry, let me put these up. I'm sorry, folks. Says
This
the
is
head of
Michelle.
Nickelodeon was on head of the class with Dan Schneider. Brian Peck was the dialogue coach. Okay, so thank you for letting me know who Brian Peck was because I wasn't quite sure. And then Brian Peck was, I'm sorry, excuse me, and Pickle Boy on all of that. Geez, so quite a few little roles here. Okay, so yes, the same thing with Dion, but you are fine. All right, well, thank you very much for keeping me up on that. It's a shame, and Dion, I think to a certain extent you're right. I don't want to get all the way down into the QAnon stuff or any conspiracy theory stuff. At least not myself
Pizzagate.
personally. But I do think when it comes to people who are in powerful positions, obviously they have the money and the wherewithal to be able to make sure that whatever their crimes are can continue without any type of prosecution at all, as opposed to your local football youth coach somewhere in any city, USA.
Well, if you think about what's happening with the P Diddy, I mean, his head of security was connected with the FBI, and they made things just disappear. So you have to understand that this is just a cog in a machine. The same way that Jeffrey Epstein was just an agent in a bigger quote unquote conspiracy, all these little pieces are part of something that has been going on for a very long time that lots of people are aware about, that for one reason or another they either A, can't speak about it, B, are a part of it, or C, terrified. I think those are the only three options that you really have, is that you're scared something's going to happen to you. You're taking part in it, because look how wide reaching this is. The fact that his two sons were arrested. There were I
Well,
think
well, well. There's a number of reasons. Just so I could say, because we don't have all the facts, they could have been arrested or put in handcuffs for a number of reasons. Doesn't necessarily have to mean that they took part
well,
in anything.
what I'm saying is though is that in the one of the lawsuits, it's alleged that one of his sons was a recruiter, and
Okay.
so that he would go out to these parties and recruit people, and that's how it started. I mean, if you look at the taxes, they're the same thing that happened with the kids in the Jeffrey Epstein case, is where you go to your first party and then they expect you to recruit other people, and before you know it, it's not something that you wanted to be a part of, but you don't know what to do because you're young, you're a kid, and it's like these kids get trapped in this cycle, and before you know it, you know, I don't want to say that. I don't want to make it sound like I think these kids should be whistleblowers, but at the same time, it's like, if that happens to you, you talk to somebody. One, half the time we don't believe people when they say, "Hey, this is crazy, this is weird, this is different, this is wrong." And then another part of it is well, you went back, so it's like, how bad was it? And that kind of, just that whole conversation. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that whole conversation is why this has lasted as long as it is.
Well, I don't want to say that that's the reason because I'm gonna slightly disagree with you there. When it comes to adults, I would probably lean a little closer to that with you. When it comes to kids, I would say it's more, especially if they grow up in it. A lot of these kids get on these TV shows when they're very, very young, and the one question we always seem to ask is where were the parents? And so, not to broad stroke anyone, but if these kids are in situations where this happens, look, if you are the child of parents who are good parents, who are around, who make sure that no one's going to bother you, so on and so forth, I would not that anything's perfect, but I would always go 9 times out of 10 that child is not going to be the victim of this. If you're a parent who's not as close to that extreme or close to that type of parenting, then maybe you open yourself and open that child up to this type of thing. Someone here just said when Amanda posted that on Twitter, she said she was 16 when I'm sorry, I read that one already. It was something else. Okay. Okay. And she used to live with Dan when she had problems with her parents around that age. Who at 16, if that's your 16-year-old daughter, you would let her go live with a grown man? That's the type of thing I'm talking about. And so I think for
Right.
predators, you almost see that as okay, that's one I can go after because the things that are around that child make it okay for me.
Well, a lot of the times is they will alienate the child from the parent. So
That
they'll make rules where the parent can't come to set or that type of thing, or these weird little
control,
policies
yeah,
that aren't law, but if you don't know any better, you hear that and like, okay, well, just let me know how it goes. Where when I was doing season 1 of the Miss Pass show, the child actors, their parents were there all the time. Like there wasn't a time where I saw them and didn't see their parent. They were somewhere in the building. So it wasn't, not that that would ever happen, but there was never an opportunity where the parent wasn't aware what the child was doing while they were at work.
right.
So for it to be so prevalent at Nickelodeon just tells me that either things were vastly different 25 years ago, or these parents. You hear Drake Bell's dad did an interview, and he's like, I did everything I could to try and protect him, but they cut me off from him, and like they got the mom to turn on him, and like he just lost the relationship with his dad. And then he talks about what this guy did to him, shoving things up his butt and all this other stuff, and it's like,
Jeez, wow.
you know, it, it's not that the parents don't want to protect their kids. It's just these predators are very good at what they do, and they're very powerful people.
One
So
hundred
you have to
percent.
take that into account too.
But no, you have to take all of those things into account. But I'm saying in order for this to get started, the situation has to be right for the kid or for the predator. Again, the predator is not. It's just like I tell. Or we've talked about this before. These people are hunters, so they're looking for the easiest prey that they can go after. And so obviously these people, if they've done it for years, they're experts at what they're looking for in terms of the kid, the parent, the relationship that they have with the parent. Like if in order to put a policy in place to say, oh, parents offset, you can't be around because just the kids and we'll see you afterwards. You have to know you're probably dealing with people you can tell that to and get it and not get any pushback from them on it.
Well, I think it's twofold. One, they pick people who aren't in the best financial situations,
That
and
too.
when you
Yeah.
get an opportunity to be a leading role on a TV sitcom, I mean, who's turning that down? And they come with these like. So I'm just it's what I'm saying is I understand. I don't think it's okay, but I can at least understand the thought process behind it. Would I do it? No, but I understand it. The problem with what happened at Nickelodeon is it wasn't just one guy. Like there were lots of people doing it, and that's to me that's the bigger issue. It's not just one actor. Like there's a bunch of kid actors. What's the black kid who was on That's So Raven that everybody thinks is crazy now?
Oh
He
yeah.
he kind of
Orlando Brown.
you know Orlando Brown. Like he wasn't always this weirdo guy. Something happened.
Mm,
Something clearly traumatic happened to where he's turned into who he is now. I
mm-hmm,
mean, he wasn't that way as a kid. So
mm-hmm.
obviously, that's a classic example of what's going on here. But then Amanda Bynes had a secret Twitter account, right? Why did she look at what happened to Britney Spears and how crazy she is nowadays? Justin Bieber, like you have all these kids. Even Usher is alleged to have been
Yeah, 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 yeah,
manipulated.
yeah.
So it's like you have all these people. R. Kelly is another one. You have all these people who are so
As a
powerful,
predator.
who have all this access to. If you think about Hollywood, and what being a celebrity can do for someone financially, if you can go, everybody wants to be in this business. So you have this unlimited pool to draw from, right? And so you get really good at picking out your victims, so to speak. And I think, you know, because of the way they do things in Hollywood and how these rituals, quote unquote, take place, it's like it's a very long cycle. And I think as more and more people talk about what's going on, we're gonna see that this thing is massive.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I was talking to a friend of mine. She's out in L.A. and she's an actress, comedian, super dope, talented person. We were talking about L.A. and some of the things that happen and don't happen, and how much truth is it in this, that, and the other. So she's the one that called me today about the P Diddy news that's been dropping, and I had not called it. I've been working all day, just sitting here working. And she said, "It's funny that you and I were just talking about this. Like, is this true? Does this happen? Where's this happen at?" And so on and so forth. And now, over the last few weeks since, stuff has been slowly rolling. And now P. Diddy's jumped on a damn private jet and took off to Antigua to run from the U.S. government.
I mean, nothing says I did it than running away. Like if
Nothing,
you didn't
nothing,
do it,
nothing
I mean,
says it.
if I knock on your door and you say I'll be right there, and then I'm standing outside, and I knock on the door again, I don't get no response, and then hey, you in there? And I open the door and I see the windows open, and you crawl like
Add this other ingredient to the story. And you have all the money in the world to hire whatever lawyer you want to defend you. You know, you're not some guy who doesn't have 2 shekels in his pocket. He's going to get a public defender. You can hire any attorney you want to defend you and possibly get you off of this. Nope, you panicked and you ran and you jumped in a private jet and you were out of there first chance you got.
But see, I think that needs to be the area that we need to diagnose and analyze this. Is someone who has the money and the means and the connections. Why did he run?
No, I agree
And
with
that
you.
tells me that's how you know. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's how I know it's something much bigger than
Right,
these
right,
little instances that he's being,
right. 100%.
in trouble for. This is just another domino. Kat said it at the beginning of the year. It's like this is the year of truth, and we're learning a lot, and we still got a lot more to go.
Let me go to some more comments here. Excuse me. Let's see. Facebook user says, when you're being SA at a young age, it's terrifying to speak up. I can only imagine. Facebook user says, I read Jeanette McCurdy's book, and it sounded like a couple of the parents didn't care because they wanted the money and not to have to work. And I believe
Courtney.
that to be 100% true. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the name of what's the name of Jeanette McCurdy's book was I Hate My Mom, I think I Hate My Mom, something like
Again, I
that.
don't. Who is Jeanette
Like
McCurdy? That was going to be my question. I didn't know who she is.
she was on what's the name of that show? My little brother used to watch it all the freaking time.
So another Nickelodeon
Not
show.
that so Yeah, it was very
Okay.
popular. Cute little girl. I can't remember the name of it, but she was like the coast. She was the main character's best friend.
Okay.
She's a blonde little girl, and yeah, man, just her book talks about some of the crap that went on. And there's video
iCarly.
of
iCarly.
iCarly. Yeah,
Yeah.
um,
Thank you,
there's
Facebook user.
there's there's weird. It was Chelsea.
Okay,
There's weird video like behind the scenes shot on a cell phone camera of like these adult men trying to get these little kids to do weird stuff like Ariana Grande. He's like trying to get video of her touching herself and like shooting down her top. It's just, and they're like kids and they're doing it blatantly out, you
and that was
know.
gonna be, and that was gonna be my statement. Not to cut you off. Isn't that crew standing around to see some of this? Cameramen, gaffers, assistants of some sort, hairstylists. I mean, people are just walking around watching this happen. Are they or are the stories that you've heard or read about? Are they taking these
See,
kids back in a
here's
closet
here's
someplace?
what I think is happening. Here's what I think is happening is people who work there who are not part of management, i.e., camera operators, the boom mic guy, they're just regular union workers showing up to do their 9 to 5. They aren't necessarily a part of what's happening. But I'm sure that if they were to ever say, hey, X, Y, and Z is doing this with A, B, and C, that their job is gone.
No doubt, but I see you with a minor child trying to get her to touch herself or do some of the other things that I'm hearing about. I got to put my hands on you, partner.
No, I'm not. I completely agree. Yes, what I'm saying is that who do you tell when they're all a part of it? Like, if the main guy is the guy who's getting these little kids pregnant, who do you tell on him? Like, who do you, they said they went to the police, and the police like, okay. And so then what do you do?
Some,
And this was before social media, so it wasn't like you could go to Twitter and be like, hey,
I'm not saying there's any easy answers. I'm just saying my only statement or question was, where's this happening? If it's on set, and that's what I'm saying. Are they taking these kids back in a closet, or is this just out in the open? And that was kind of more of my question. Facebook user here says they did Shirley Temple the same way. This has been happening for way too long. I'm pretty sure that's to be true. And Lee Jones
Chelsea.
is with us. What's up, Lee? He says, let me look here. I think it's I'm glad my mom. I can't. Oh, the
That's the
name of the
name of the
book.
book. Yeah.
I think it's glad my mom died. Okay, got you. Again, for people out there, if you see me leaning in, it's because I'm on my MacBook, not on my usual setup. So I apologize for the tardiness, the technical difficulties, and the production value that you're getting right now. I'll take the heat for it. Dion, go ahead. What you were going to say, sir?
I've been blind since the second grade, so you squinting in, I'm like, I've been doing that my whole life. So
All right. Anybody wants to get out there, I may pick it up because that's the first time I'm hearing about it. But the book is I'm Glad My Mom Died, and that's Jeanette McCarthy's book. Sam Puckett on iCarly, Lee Jones says. So is that the name of the person, Lee, who was
that
doing?
that was her character's name.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, all right. What's up, Keith? What's up, Lee? Thank you guys for jumping in. We're going to move the show to our regularly scheduled topic here. We're probably going to get time to get to one of them today, given the late start, and we decided to start with a little bit of P. Diddy talk. But I did want to talk to my brother Dion, and I want to talk to you guys about the interview that was on the Breakfast Club here recently with Candace Owens. For people who are fans of this show or friends of Dion and I, you probably will have some indication on where this conversation is going to go. But please bear with us, listen, take part in it, because we really want to have this talk. Dion, I'm gonna let you have a minute and a half or so to kind of get your feelings off your chest, because I know you got a lot to say. But then I do want to have this conversation about it. Go ahead, sir.
First off, when you brought me this topic, I was like, I don't even want to listen to her voice. Like the sound of her voice, it makes me want to slit my own throat. Like I cannot stand her voice. Aside from that, I don't want to hear anything she has to say because I find her to be full of crap. She's one of those people. She's very Ben Shapiro like when she says a whole lot of stuff and says absolutely nothing. She'll just talk, 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 talk,
Word
and
salad.
then I said, then I made my point, and I was like, well, what was your point again? Could you just sum it up in a sentence? And then they just give me more words out. I was like, no. So the fact that she went on the Breakfast Club, what are they doing interviewing her for? What? She just got deplatformed because her bosses don't like her stance on, Israel. So why is she, after she's been kicked to the curb by right wing media, why is she coming into to black spaces to tell us anything about what she's got going on, or what we need to hear from her? I just
She
don't
hadn't been
understand.
fired yet until after the Breakfast Club.
She knew she was getting fired.
You 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 may be right, and she may have been looking for a way to get fired. I am with you. I could not figure out for the life of me. Are you still there with me, Dion?
Yeah, I'm still here. It's freezing real bad.
So you want to go ahead and drop off and come back
You
real
want me
quick?
to drop off?
Yeah,
Yeah,
come back
yeah.
real quick. Yeah, this is something, again, Dion said it. He did not, he wasn't eager. I wasn't especially eager. I was 50-50. Because I wanted to hear what he was going to say, and I wanted to hear what you guys were going to say. But I knew this would be a good topic for us. Keith Robbins says, I can't stand her, LMAO. Lee, I don't know too many people who can, brother. I just don't. All right, Dion's back with us. I'm just reading some comments. Keith also says, I think she just likes to hear her own voice. Facebook user says her voice is the worst. Keith says, what is her purpose in life? I honestly don't know. Keith, her purpose, I think, is just to make money, to be honest, at this point. Dion, to your point, that is what I was trying to figure out. That was one of the things that kind of kept me interested in the conversation was two things. One, why is the Breakfast Club having her on this show? And then two, are you guys going to have any pushback on anything that she says at all, or are you just going to let her say the nonsense that she's saying? And you're absolutely correct when you say she says a lot, but says nothing. She was asked several questions a few different times, and she never got around to answering the question. Charlemagne was the only one that got close to maybe pushing back. Not DJ Envy, not that I expected him to. Not just hilarious, not that I expected her to. I think she was a little bit out of her depth probably. But Charlemagne, I expected more, and he really, really let me down with that interview today.
You know, for you to be expecting Charlemagne to push
Because he's the
back
only
on,
one who will go after in the past. We've seen him go after people in the past.
yeah, but when it, like, he goes after us, he don't go after them.
Okay.
He'll attack somebody within, but she's an outsider when it comes to the culture. Nobody's. I mean, she failed the quiz, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I knew from the moment they had her on, at the timing they had her on, I'm like, this ain't gonna be nothing worth listening to. It's just gonna be a bunch of softball boo-hoo. I'm the victim. I'm not as bad as people think I am. It's the classic thing they do to the people who run for president, and they lose, and they just go on this, oh, I'm not as bad as you think I am. We did it to George Bush when he got out of office. They did it to Clinton when he got out of office. People liked Obama, but yeah, it's the same thing.
I, as I normally do, folks, I took a lot of notes. All right, so I took a lot of notes. Some things I wanted to bring up on the show. Wanted you guys to hear, especially for folks who did not, because I don't want you guys to think these guys don't really watch anything or read anything. 100% we do. And one of my favorite things was when she kept saying over and over and over again that the economy was better under Trump than it is under Biden. She repeated that so many times. I'm not looking for you to argue with anybody. I'm just looking for you to push back. The numbers are right there for you to read off a paper that the economy from unemployment to the stock market and everything in between is better now than under Trump. And I say that as a conservative capitalist. Then they allowed her to go on there this morning and talk about how the immigrants coming across the border, that is out of control, and how they are committing crimes, and those crimes are being blamed on African Americans, without showing you one bit of proof that this is true at all. The couple, along with that, she forgot to mention that Trump and the conservatives, not even, they're not conservatives, I'm sorry, Trump and his Republicans refused to pass one of the most conservative immigration bills a month ago. Again, no pushback. Just the lack of pushback is what I expect for her to do. What Candace Owens is going to do, just like the Scorpion and the Frog story, which I'm not going to say again. I expect her to be who she is. I expect if you're interviewing her, especially if you're supposed to sit on this platform that you have, you're supposed to have some kind of pushback, brother.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah, go ahead.
If you go back and you were to rewatch that, did it look like any of them wanted her to be there? Did it
No,
look
no,
like
no.
DJ Envy did looks he looked so disinterested in the interview? Jess Hilarious looks like she don't care about the show at all. Like she don't care who's sitting in that chair. And then, poor Charlemagne's in the corner trapped next to her. So let me pretend to ask her some bullshit questions and let her ramble. She literally said nothing for an hour.
Yeah, yeah. She said absolutely nothing. Let me go to some comments here. Charlemagne picks and chooses. So I think Lee is saying Charlemagne picks and chooses who he's going to go after. So I think he's agreeing with you there. Keith Robbins says, who actually listens to the BS she spews? Well, Keith, the problem with that is that there are millions of people. And Dion and I talked about this back when Trump was in office. Candace Owen, the Hodge twins, one or two other pretend
Diamond
black,
and Silk.
Diamond and Silk, some other pretend black conservatives have decided that that is a pretty empty space, an empty room for them to go and dance around in and make money. And the problem with people like Candace Owens is that I don't have a problem with you being a real conservative. I'm a real conservative. I am and have been my entire life. So I see bullshit I know it when I see it. My problem is if you are going to stand here and just say whatever, not what conservatives want you to say, whatever racist conservatives want you to say. The first thing that racist people love to do, well, I should say one of, because one thing they like to count their black friends and let you know how many of them have. The other thing they love to do is say, look, I'm not racist. This black person over here says it and thinks it too. And there is a space there for money to be made. And that's where Candace Owens lives. She even took it to the next level by marrying the man that she married, who's out of the UK, who's all for Brexit or was for Brexit and all of that BS, another conservative. So that is the problem, and there are millions of people who listen to her. Her getting kicked away from the Daily Wire, no big deal. She has a podcast and she has other things. She will continue to make money, Keith, because there are millions of people who who have her as a poster on their bedroom wall right now.
I think the biggest point you made was the fact that there's this space for these type of people to exist. Candace Owens, Stacey Dash, the Hodge twins,
Sexy, that's
that
another one.
that fake pastor who did the RNC and then he got busted by CNN for everything on his bullshit website. So like all these people are just they're cashing in on they're scam artists. They're basically taking advantage of people. They're taking advantage of a situation. She doesn't believe half the shit she says. She talks about how black fathers are important. If they were so important, why don't your kids have one? Like it's one of those things where just a simple pushback from Charlemagne would have been sufficient. But like I said, it felt like they just didn't care, which I think most people don't care about this interview. They don't care what has to say, and that interview proves it. If you go back and you listen to it, it's a giant nothingness.
I have more here for my notes, but let me ask a question. Let me ask the questions to are master debaters, and maybe you guys have an answer, maybe you don't. Maybe this is something that only Dion and I care about, or maybe just I care about. Has the Breakfast Club jumped the shark? Are they to the point where they're just booking guests for clickbait? Are they at that point? I lean to say no because they still seem to be pretty popular, but I can't think of another reason they would have her on if it wasn't to push back. Excuse me, folks.
Bless you.
Thank you.
I don't think they wanted her there. I think their bosses made them take her on the show. I genuinely don't think those three, if they had their choice, would have allowed her to come there because there was nothing to gain from it. They didn't get a single new listener. There isn't going to be not one new subscriber to their Spotify or Apple. None of that, because the people who like her do not like what the Breakfast Club is about. And so to allow her to come into your space and to talk to, you know, the culture and have nobody check her, it was just blatantly disrespectful to all of us. Like, why would you let her come in here, shit all over the place, and not say anything?
Except for the usual nonsense. Biden is intensely trying to get the illegals in because then they can get the illegals in, then they can give them citizenship, and then they will turn around and they will vote Democrat. I'm gonna tell you folks something that people seem to forget. Brown people from South America, from Cuba, are more conservative than most folks think. That's not an automatic Democratic vote. It just isn't. I had to educate myself on that fact myself when Trump was running the first time. So just these simple-minded things that they again allowed her to roll out there. Here's the one I knew Dion was gonna love was never black people NAACP never helped her, just fundraised off of her likeness and story. And I wrote underneath that statement, but she seems to be okay with it when Fox News, The Daily Wire, and Trump does it. She seems to be okay
I was
with it
like,
for
your
that.
whole platform is based on that. What are you talking about?
Look
How
at
you gonna
me,
be?
I'm black and I agree with them. That's her whole
You
platform.
you watched them do it, and so you decided, oh well, if they could do it, I'm black, I could do it, and now you're doing it.
Yeah.
See, the only difference is you're doing it to all of us on a much grander scale because you're in every white person's house that loves that crap, and you're their chocolate dream or whatever, and they prop you up to make you think you're important, but to us, you ain't nobody like even what she's talking about. She's not good at talking about. She doesn't like the quote unquote values that she has. You listen to her talk, you don't learn anything. She just says surface level crap that you can read in a book.
Another one here was Biden's mind is starting to diminish. Well, what do you think that orange dude whose brain is made of cheeseburgers and Jello pudding is doing? What are you talking about? This is one thing that irks me when people talk about the health and the mind of Joe Biden. Biden has the body of an 80-year-old man. Well, guess what? They shuffle when they walk. They trip over curbs. They need to hold your elbow to help go up and down the stairs. But these are still the people that you go to for some wisdom every fucking once in a while. He's 80 years old. Guess what? Donald Trump is your 80-year-old overweight grandfather who's too cheap to give you $5 to go get a bag of chips, but will sit and talk about himself all day long. Neither one of these men you want to see on a regular basis, but either one of them you will tolerate from time to time. They're 80-year-old men. Let's stop pretending one is better than the other based on physical and mental attributes. They're
Yeah,
not.
it's like joning on somebody for something that's wrong with them, and you got the exact same problem. Like
What are you doing?
we both have that issue. Why are you being mean to me about it when you got big feet and I got big feet? We both got big club feet. So for you to knock me for having that when you have it is ridiculous. They're both old. They both say stuff that you're like, oh, these guys are too fucking old to be in charge of everything. It's like Jesus Christ,
100%.
it's embarrassing. So you can't really say one's better than the other when they both do the exact same thing. Like I'm a liberal person, but I think Joe Biden is just as dumb as Donald Trump. And to hear people say, "Oh, he's so much smarter," I'm like, "No, he's not."
No.
Just because he's on your side doesn't mean he's not suffering from the same mental decline as the other guy.
My other thing here that I wrote down was she never answered the question of what's the difference between Republicans and MAGA. She was on a huge word salad when Sharp, and that was about the most pushed back question she got, and that one came from Charlemagne. What is the difference? But then he never did a follow up, and that bothered me because she never answered the question. But you make a great point. All three of them seemed like none of them wanted her in the studio. Uh, you know, lightweight Charlemagne's kind of teased her a little bit. I felt like Jess Hilarious kind of came to her rescue a little bit. But I thought it was a nothing interview, and I
Yeah,
couldn't see what the purpose.
at the end, just hilarious to go, "Oh, and you're pretty, by the way." And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, is this what we're doing? This is how low we've stooped to get anything. You tried to have this black sister unity at the end when you clearly were on your phone the whole fucking interview. Like you could tell she didn't want her to be there. And it's like, "You look good, by the way." She's like, "Oh,
Yeah, we should talk about
so
her having that
fake."
baby back in November.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Like you give a fuck about that girl's baby.
when they went to the black quiz questions at the end, and there were some simple ones, and she was like, "Oh, I think I'm too young to watch Good Times," and then she said, "Was it Good Times in the '80s?" Yeah,
What's
yeah,
that?
it was in the '80s. No, I'm like, she's so dumb, and then the most basic things you can ask any black person who's finish this statement here. God is good.
All the time.
God is great. Like, how do you-
God is good, amen. God is good, amen.
it's the most simple
Jesus.
set. So did it's like who knows that? Anybody who went to a black church? Oh, I guess I didn't go to the black churches.
Candace, the audience knows that.
So I felt like at the end they took that was their way of taking shots at her. Was because there's no way they could imagine she was going to answer any of these questions.
There's no way she went in there knowing that they were going to have her do a black person's quiz. Like,
She was like, where these questions come from? Oh no, these are our questions. And so that was the only thing I was really truly
she
entertained.
started, what did she start rapping the Fresh Prince like that was supposed to get her some cool culture points? Like, no one cares if you like Fresh Prince. That has nothing to do with why we like you or not. Like, that, it was
She,
insulting.
if you ever want to see a black person who probably enjoys a good glop of mayonnaise on their sandwich, they go, see, go see her.
Undercover brother, scrumptious.
Oh, no Miracle Whip. They're a little too tangy for these taste buds. She-
He said she got mayonnaise in her Twinkies. Get out of here. Get out of here.
oh man, was that hot sauce? No.
It was pepper.
Oh my god, that's too much spice. You see here, Lee says need that hot sauce watch. She does it. She's got a mayonnaise watch, Lee. She got nothing but mayonnaise packets in that glove compartment of that Mercedes Benz or whatever the hell she
Got
drives.
mayonnaise Tic Tacs.
Oh, that's it. Just, Hellman's.
It's the grossest thing I've ever heard. Hellman's Tic Tacs. What?
Hellman's. Give me some more of them Hellman's. How's that bitch smell like mayonnaise all the time? Oh,
Mayonnaise flavored lifesavers.
oh,
Oh, it's just Yes. But you know that being her purse. You know she would have a purse full of those.
And then she, look, most people out. I'm not going to go down that road. I don't want to go down that road. I will say this. I'm gonna bring this up. She said she never looked at her husband as a race. I want to see. That was the face I wanted to see. Was right there, Dion.
See, when you get on here and you want to be credible and then you just say the most uncredible crap. Like, what do you mean you didn't look at his race? What do you mean? You just, what up, dude?
It never
No,
occurred to
I
you.
don't see you for who you are. Yeah, I don't see you for who you are at all. Like, I don't notice any differences between us. You just look like me, except you're a guy. That's what is that what you're telling me happened in this made up scenario in your head, that you didn't recognize that he was a white dude, that he was different from all the dudes you had dated before, the black guys and the Asian guys, that you this come on, Candace.
I was saying you
Stop
had
it.
no she had no problem seeing the Asian guy she dated as Asian. So you just did you miss that he
You
was
just don't
Caucasian?
you contradict yourself immediately after saying something, and that's my biggest pet peeve with her. It's like you can clearly tell she's just saying the surface level shit that sounds good. There's no depth to her whatsoever. And then if anybody pushes back against her, if anybody would have in that interview, you would have seen that she just gave you more word salad, because that's all she did. Her and Ben Shapiro are the kings and queens of talking really fast and saying things that just make it sound like I know what I'm really talking about. But if you really listen to what I'm really saying, I'm not really saying anything. But the way that I say it, it makes it sound like I'm saying something when I'm really not saying anything at all. But you believe it because that's the way I said it.
I love that answer. That was good. I actually went with 2 plus 2, but that was great. That was great. Lee says then she actually liked Asians first. LMAO. Lee, I wasn't gonna go there, but I don't have a problem. But she did know that they were Asians. I did. I wanted to say this though. What I wrote underneath her statement, she never looked at her husband as a race. Bullshit. I'm married to a white woman. Dion dates white women. I dated white women before, and obviously you notice they're white. But to spend time with them, and Dion, you speak for yourself. I'm speaking for myself on this one because I wrote it down here. When you date someone outside of your race, outside of your circumstance, one of the things you should, and I refuse to think that this woman did not has never thought about this, is can they understand? Can they empathize? I'm not just gonna spend time with some random ass white woman because I think she's pretty. There has to be not only some type of intellect match there, as she tried to make into a huge thing, but can you understand this? And understand that this makes me different than what you walk around in every day. And so to sit and tell me if anybody who was black was married or dating someone in a serious manner who was white, to say that you've never had that thought process in your mind, I'd have to ask you how many times were you dropped on the top of your head as an infant, because that's an automatic thought process. You agree or disagree, Dion?
I find it supremely laughable that she said she got with her husband because of his superior intellect. That she felt it was hard for her to find black men that challenged her intellectually. And my first thought when I said that was like, I don't know any smart niggas who would put up with a dumb bitch like you. That just my first thing that popped in my head was like, any smart man who would see you from a mile away as the grifter that you are and be like, I don't want anything to do with her. Your voice is unpleasant. Your demeanor's unpleasant. The way you speak to people is very unpleasant. There's not there's there's nothing pleasant about you. So this whole I needed a smart guy and he was just smart and I didn't see that he was white. That you're capping, as the kids say. That's a lot of cap. You knew exactly what you were doing, going to get that British man, and just own it. If that's what it is, fine. I don't care who you date, who you love, why you love them. I don't care, but just don't try and make me believe what I'm seeing isn't the truth. It's just like that's what I don't like.
I believe. Damn it. What's Prince Harry's wife name? The black chick here, the Meghan Markle.
Yeah,
I'd sooner believe that Meghan Markle didn't know that the royal family were racist than I would believe what the hell she got done saying earlier about her husband. This last thing I wanted to bring up about on this conversation, and Dion, we can let it go after this. Well, it's two things. She loved Vivek Ramaswamy. That was who she loved, who was running. So that made my eyes roll like you did. No one on the planet with two marbles in their head loved Vivek Ramaswamy. If you've ever seen a bigger grifter who was running other outside of Donald Trump, I don't know who it was. I don't know
that's
who it
all.
was.
That's why she liked him. Is because they grift buddies. He's a grifter. She sees that in him because she sees it in herself. She knows she's a grifter, and yeah,
I didn't. I should have did the research. I bet they have done each other's podcast. I bet, and
probably.
I'm sure that's where that came up. But here's what I wanted to get to. Charlemagne asked her, "How was the economy better under Trump?" Now we've covered this. We know that it wasn't. Here was her response though: deregulation for people who wanted to start biz. This was how the economy was better than Trump. Now, as a capitalist, as a business owner, I'm for some deregulation. I think there are some layers of government we don't need it. I do think for some we need a little bit more regulation or at least something. I think for social media we should have some. I think for Uber and Lyft, you guys have heard me talk about this. I think there should be some type of regulation for them as well. So I'm not completely deregulation across the board. But the question was, how was the economy better when Trump was president? This was the only thing that she could go to. The other thing I would say, even as a capitalist, deregulating businesses does not do anything for the everyday man. We've proved that to be wrong. Reaganomics does not work. But
That's what
but
I was
she
about to say.
but she has no other numbers or information she could point to say that the economy was better. I'm just making another point for you, I guess. This woman knows nothing about nothing. I used to think she was smart. Now I'm not even sure if she's that.
Dave Chappelle said it best, the most eloquent idiot you ever hear.
Yeah, as he did say,
Just
articulate idiot. Yes.
she says a lot of crap and says nothing at all. And this whole interview, this whole hour interview, I'm listening and just waiting for her to get to say something. I could be like, "Come on, Candace, give me something." I could be like, "Okay," and it never came
Yeah, it's
because
rough.
it's never going to be there because she genuinely doesn't care about what she says. She just, yo, I got fired, but I'll get another job, and I'll keep saying this. Like she doesn't care who she hurts along the way with the dumb rhetoric that she spews. She don't care.
I would agree.
And for the Breakfast Club to have her on to let her do that for an hour, that was a slap in the face. Just a slap in the face.
Well, I want to end this segment with a little bit of something here, quote unquote, from Candace Owens. Trump has a good biz head. And when Charlemagne said, "Yeah, but what about all the failed businesses?" That's okay. That's not a big deal. I mean, at least you tried. Supposed to. I'm like, bitch.
The
This man has
least he
filed.
tried to fix.
This motherfucker has filed bankrupt, failing your business not working out because maybe your business plan was not that tight, or maybe the market moved away from you. Any of those things is possible for millions of small business owners every day. For a man who has been gifted millions and taken millions from people to not be able to even make a casino work, come on, man. My uncle
Hey,
get my uncle got a dice game that he has around his house every day after work. That thing has been running for 50 years.
Come on, man. He's a 77-year-old man who's tried his whole life. He's put in the good old. He pulled himself up by his $1 million bootstraps, and he
Nice
just gave
boots.
it the old heave ho, the good old. I'm a dodge the draft. Try,
Nice,
and
nice, nice boots.
it's one of those things where I'm like, I. They asked him, "Would you vote for him?" And they didn't even do any of the sexual stuff that Trump has dealt with. They didn't even touch on that at all. And to hear her just go, "Oh, he's just so much better than Biden." But even when Charlemagne did the mini pushback on, well, how? And oh, well, their deregulation of small businesses, and I'm like,
Stop.
it
It has nothing.
it,
Whatever.
so it was just to me like it's one of those things where we talk about when we have bad shows. Like I feel like if Charlemagne and DJ Envy go back, it was like, oh, remember that time we had to fucking put on Candace Owens and listen to her bullshit and have to hear people bitch at us for a week until we get some other controversy, because this is all that is.
I'm I'm picturing them open up their desk drawers and just pulling out a bottle of whiskey, sitting it down with some glasses. Roxy's with us. What's good, Roxy? Roxy says there's nothing like a loud idiot with some confidence. Well, you're right. If you got confidence, yeah, you can get up and say anything, and I don't know if you believe it or not, but you can really push it out there if you have some confidence.
And that's the frustrating thing is the most people who should be quiet are the ones who are always the loudest. It's like you don't know what you're talking about, so you should probably stop talking. But no, she's got the courage and the wherewithal to be like, I'm gonna go cash these racist checks, and I'm gonna go do my victory lap or my sorry tour, if you will. She did Joe Budden, and then she's gonna do the Breakfast Club. It's like,
Oh, she did. Oh, she did go on Joe Budden.
I thought she did go on Joe Budden,
Okay, I'm gonna look for it. I
or
know
that
Joe
she was
invited her.
or yeah, I think maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know if she's gone already, but there was like, but for what? What has Candace ever said that we need to hear again? What new message is she bringing to us that she hasn't already delivered?
I love the fact she likes to point at other people she thinks are grifters, like the folks who were running BLM and saying they took in $90 million, and that $90 million didn't go to help black people at all. It went to help transgenders and so on and so forth. You are a grifter, so it
She's a rat because
it be
she's
what it may.
snitching on people who are doing what she's doing. Like that, she's a rat. So the BLM thing was a giant fraud, but to me, BLM was never about the organization. It was about people understanding, like, yo, some bad shit is happening. You need to be aware of it. And what do grifters do? They come in and they take over. And
Then she went to
so
talking about Macron's wife is really a man who,
because they asked her, what about the whole your comments about saying
yeah.
Michelle Obama might be a man? And she went off on a tangent about the French president's wife or something. Like, who fucking cares about what transgenderism is happening over? That's not even the question that he asked you. And she just went off, and then nobody ever go, are you going to answer the question?
Yeah,
No.
yeah. All right, all right. Well,
I
thank
think
you.
that was the most frustrating part of the whole interview was that whole, I was like, I don't care about, this is even what he asked you.
You want to touch on
Sorry.
Godfrey real quick before we get out of here?
Um,
Bad
you go
transition.
first. Yeah, you go first. I'll let you go
Godfrey
first.
was on Club Shay Shay, folks. Comedian Godfrey. I'll say this. I've been around Godfrey one time. He was very nice to me. This was probably going back about 8, 9 years ago. It was a brief 5, 10 minutes. Again, very nice. When you're around a headliner and they're nice to you, especially when you're young in comedy, it stands out because there's so many headliners who are not nice to you and will go out of their way not to be nice. Did not agree with everything. Did not care for the interview. I didn't think the interview was very good. I think I said this to Dion and a couple other people. I think when the person is not up there really spicing it up or taking over the interview, Shannon kind of his light is dimmed. You can see how bad he is at doing what he's doing. And I didn't think Godfrey was. I didn't think it was that great of an interview. The first half of it was him doing a bunch of impersonations. Didn't need to see that. We've seen that a million times. I felt like he was trying too hard. Like he was just happy to be there. Like he thought this was going to be his big break to break out. I also did not like the answer that he kept giving towards the end when Shannon asked him, "Why don't you do your own thing and put it up on YouTube?" And he kind of pushed back with, "Well, I wasn't on Fox Sports for 7 years every day like you were," and so on and so forth. Yeah, you weren't, and we would all love to have that, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do something. I would love to be able to have the platform that Godfrey has had for the bulk of his career. So we would all like to have more of something. So I didn't like that response either. I did not think it was a good interview, and I definitely did not like what he had to say about black people, specifically black comedians. It's not what you say, as my pops would say, pops Jerry Johnson. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And when he said that we ain't shit, didn't care for it. Didn't care for it.
You made some really, really good points. When I was listening to it, and I was just, it felt to me like he was an excited kid who was jumping on the couch. He looked like he was just happy to be there. And for someone who's been doing comedy for 27 years, and you were the brand ambassador for 7 Up for 2 years. It's like your face has been on Super Bowl commercials. Like you people know who you are, and for you to basically beg and plead and go, "Hey, just give me a chance," and then him to go like, "Well, you kind of had a chance. They ain't never pick you then. Why? You've been doing it for 27 years. When's they gonna pick you?" And it's like he's like, "Maybe this is the interview that." And it's like Godfrey's super talented. He's a really smart dude. He's a really
Super smart.
funny dude. But I didn't like the way he came off in it. And you said something really funny about Shannon lights dimming. Well, when we watch Shannon interview Shannon, we all go, nobody really watches this for Shannon.
Yeah.
Because when he was doing Shannon, it's like, oh, this is boring.
Yeah.
Oh, my grandma and those type of things. It's like it's not worth. So Club Shay Shay isn't because of Shannon Sharp that it's because his guests go on there and they do something spectacular usually. Not because he's a great interviewer, but because it's a place where they can, you know,
Yeah. He's not Oprah. He's not Barbara Walters. He's not who am I?
Gail.
Gail King. I mean, he's he's not a good interviewer. And you're right. But it just comes out. Like I felt like it came out when he had Country Wayne on, even though I enjoyed that interview because Country Wayne gave some great knowledge. I I just it definitely came out with Godfrey. I'm trying to think of some other folks it came out with. I thought it came out when he interviewed Lil Rel.
I, the Terry Crews one was not that good
Yeah,
to me.
Terry Crews. I thought the interview Terry Crews did with Kevin Hart was better than the one he did with Shannon. It is just not his thing. And I'm not trying to knock the man. Do your thing. I'm going to have a podcast one day where I'm interviewing people. I guarantee you, in my sleep, I'll be better at it than Shannon Sharp. He's just not entertaining, and and at this point, I feel like D.L. Hughley probably had it right when he said Wendy Williams with the weight set, because that's what it seems like now, especially since the Cat Williams interview. That's what he's trying to pull out of people who come on now. He's looking for you to go on a tangent so they can get those clips, and it just drives me nuts.
I was gonna say the money that's being generated from those viral moments on his show, business wise, he'd be stupid not to keep doing it. So I understand that aspect of it, but you know, this Godfrey interview in particular, near the end, he flat out asked him, "Well, why did I have you on the show if you don't got nothing?" After all this time, and it's like, "Well, what are you doing here? How did you who brought you here if you don't have anything to show for other than these few movies that apparently you're not that proud of?" So
I'm glad you brought that back around because I'm gonna tell you something. I took offense for Godfrey. when
Me
Shannon
too.
said it, because I was like, Negro, who were you? And I would have started ripping him up and down. That interview would have never aired. I'd have ripped him up so bad on his own show to ask me, why do you have me here? The question is, why am I here? What have you done other than let black people sit here and go off on other black people? And you make a lot of money off of it. No answers?
I
I
I
guess
think he would
this
say,
interview's
"I'm a
over.
Hall of Famer. I have three
That
Super Bowl rings."
that's we sitting here now. That has nothing to do with anything. No one cares that you play football. Most people have completely forgot that you played
Well,
football and they moved on
even
to other tight ends.
even Shannon Sharp would agree that the only reason Club Shay Shay is popular is because he has three Super Bowl rings and he's a Hall of Famer.
I would say I
Because
would
he never gets on FS1 and First Take. He never gets on those shows if he's not a Hall of Famer.
that show is only popular because Skip Bayless made that man take his glasses off on FS1.
That was near the end of their run.
Okay, okay, okay. And it was never as popular today when he was on FS1 until he left FS1. And that's because of everything that came with it.
What, like what?
The exit. All of that the exit, all that shit that happened before he exited FS1. That's when it fucking got popping. You don't see Steve Stout. Steve Stout said that was a great interview. He ain't say, man, I'm so glad you're on your own because you're so great, man. You were so He ain't say none of that.
Well, true. He did not say none of that, and I wouldn't expect him to. It ain't like Shannon's been doing this for 30 years, but
I'm doing
at
longer
the
than that.
same at this at the same time, his character is good for television. That doesn't make him a good interviewer. I give you that.
I'm taking exception to Shannon right now because of what he said to Godfrey. Didn't care for it, and you didn't have to say it. You had the man on, and according to Godfrey, y'all been trying to make this happen or according to him, y'all been trying to make this happen for a while. So what the hell you talking about?
But see, to me, the reason why it hadn't happened for a while is because he didn't have a reason to have Godfrey on the show. Because what did we learn from that? That Godfrey's doing a GoFundMe when he should have. He said, "You don't got no kids, you ain't married. What you doing with your money? Why are you asking people for $200,000 when you don't have a wife or children?"
You brought me back around to Shannon Sharp's side. Good job.
I'm just saying. To me, it was like he Hollywooded you until it got to the point where he was cornered and he was like, "All right, I'm gonna do you a solid." And then you get on there and you jump on the man's couch, basically. I'm so happy to be here. This is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. I hope I get something from this. Please go to my website and download my podcast. Like, that was the gist of the interview. He did some impersonations. He told a couple of jokes, but that was literally, you know, my parents died. I hope I get a Netflix special. If not, I'm gonna go do a GoFundMe. I want to do some more movies, but if not, make sure you download my podcast. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, before we get out of here, I did want to share this for anyone out there who cares. I know we only have a few eyeballs left, but my wife just texted me. She's been watching these numbers like crazy. The comedy special Misunderstood is now at 26,000 views on YouTube. So if you have not seen it, please go check it out. If you already saw it and hated it, I hope you sent it to everybody that you know that you hate. Just say, oh, this guy's awful. You got to see a stand-up special. Just send it to them. And if you hate this show, send this link to all of them too. These two black guys, they don't know. They just talk for an hour. I'm not even sure if they even know what they're talking about. Just send it to everybody that you hate. If you love the show, then send it to everybody that you love. Either way, we all win. All of us. Not
Well
as much as
said.
Shannon Sharp right now, but we're good.
Well said. I don't need to add anything to it.
Everybody, thank you guys. We appreciate you. Sorry for the late start, our technical difficulties, but we got through it. Good show, brother. I had a good time.
It was a lot of fun. I always enjoy our Mondays with you and the Master Debaters. Hope y'all come back next week. Thanks for joining us.
I hope we will see you guys next week, mofos. Thank you guys. Have a good week. Everyone be safe. Help your children cross the street. They got to look
Spay,
around the curb before they go.
Spay and neuter.
Wait a minute, before we get out of here, I happened to walk past a TV recently and saw Price is Right. Why is Drew Carey still using that long ass microphone like Bob Barker used to use back in the day with that big ass battery pack at the end of it and shit, bro?
I have no idea. I always thought those microphones were so ridiculous. Those guys should have headsets. You're not doing interviews.
Like a TED Talk. Look.
Yeah,
And Drew, if you're gonna go old style just to keep the tradition, can you wear a suit? The whole fucking button up with jeans and a blazer shit. I don't want to see that in a full
he's not
shot.
wearing a suit anymore.
No, he was wearing like some jeans and a fucking button up with a blazer. It was,
The spring break edition of the Price is Right.
let's see. Roxy said it's the only long thing he gets to hold. You're awful, Roxy. You're awful. And Lee says he looked like Jerry Springer. LOL. It's ridiculous. All right, we love you guys. Thank you, Roxy. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, everybody who watched the show. Everyone have a great week. We appreciate you. Oh my God.